Dear students, I am Dr. A.K. Jain, Professor and Head Department of Applied Science. I will teach you the Applied Physics first. Its code is ETPH 103. This course is common for all branches. Applied Physics first. As I have already told you that its code is ATPS 103. Question is that how do you study this subject? What is the object of this subject? The objective of this subject is to facilitate the engineering students with the basics of applied physics aspects that are required for your understanding of basic physics. So this is the objective of this applied physics first. As you know that applied physics is the backbone of the engineering branches. So applied physics, or you can say this is the science which is the application of engineering branches. Now I will discuss about the syllabus of applied physics of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. The syllabus of applied physics is divided into 4 units, and these units are Unit 1, Interference, in which you have to study introduction, interference due to division of wavefront, Fresnel biprism, interference due to division of amplitude, wedge-shaped film, Newton's rings. The another part of this unit first is diffraction of light, in which you have to study difference between Fresnel and Fraunhofer class of diffraction, single slit diffraction, transmission of diffraction grating, and absent spectra. Second unit covers polarization of light. In polarization of light, you have to study the uniaxial crystals, double refraction, Nicol prism, quarter wave and half wave plates, theory of production of plane, circularly and elliptically polarized lights. You have to study the specific rotation and Lorentz half shade parameter. So this is the first part of unit second. In second part of unit second, you have to study lasers. In lasers, you have to study spontaneous and stimulated emission, Einstein's coefficient, laser and its principle, and helium neon laser. The third part of this unit second is fiber optics, in which you have to study single mode fiber, strap index and graded index multimode fibers, acceptance angle and numerical aperture. Third unit covers the theory of relativity, in which you have to study frame of reference, Galilean transformation, Michelson-Morley experiment, postulates of special theory of relativity, Lorentz transformation, length contraction, time dilation, mass and energy equivalence relation. And the second part of this unit third is ultrasonics, in which you have to study the production of ultrasonics by magnetostriction and piezoelectric methods and their applications. Unit 4 covers nuclear physics, in which you have to study the radioactivity, alpha decay, beta decay, gamma decay, Q values, threshold energy, nuclear radiations, nuclear fission, liquid drop model, nuclear fusion, particle accelerators, in which you have to study linear accelerator, cyclotron, radiation detectors. In radiation detectors, you have to study two type of detectors. These are ionization chamber and Ziegler-Muller counter. So I'm going to start the unit first, in which you have to study the interference of light. In my first lecture, I will give the introduction of this chapter, then what is Huygens principle of superposition and how the interference of light takes place, what is constructive interference and destructive interference, and how there is essential requirement for coherent sources for sustained interference of light. So these are the topics under lecture 1. So I'm going to start the introduction of interference of light. You know that optics is the branch of physics which deals with the nature of light, and its propagation is called optics. The branch of physics which deals with the nature of light and its propagation is called optics. Light is a form of energy. You know that light is a form of energy. Intensity means energy. So light is a form of energy. The propagation of energy is possible in two ways, either by particles or by waves. Maxwell in 1873, Maxwell was the scientist who established the accurate theory of light, according to which light is an electromagnetic wave in which there are two vectors, electric field vectors and magnetic field vectors. Both vectors oscillate mutually perpendicular to each other, and they are also perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light. You can see in this figure. These waves can travel in vacuum, means electromagnetic waves can travel in vacuum. Electromagnetic waves are transverse in nature. The transverse nature of electromagnetic waves can only be explained by the phenomena of polarization of light. So now you can see in this figure the electric field vector, that is represented by E vector, and magnetic field vector B, which is represented by B. Both vectors are perpendicular to each other and they are propagating in the direction of propagation of light. Both are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light. It means that electric field vector is perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light. Magnetic field vector is also perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light, and both electric and magnetic field vector are perpendicular to each other. It means that since electric field vector and magnetic field vector both are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light, it means that the light waves are transverse in nature. So these light waves are also known as electromagnetic wave. This transverse nature of light, as I have already told, that can be explained by polarization of light. So when we study the polarization of light, the details of the transverse nature of light will be discussed in that particular chapter. Now, question is that what is interference of light? You have seen beautiful colors in soap film or oil floating on the surface of water. You will see the colors gets changed when you watch it from different angles. This takes place due to the phenomena of interference. The phenomena of interference of light tells us about the wave nature of light. In optics, the Interference means the superposition of two or more waves which results in a new wave pattern. ठीक है? So that can be explained by Huygens principle of superposition. When two sets of waves of same frequency and having a constant phase difference travel in the same region of medium simultaneously. What do you mean by this? It means that there are two waves which are moving in the same direction and also having the same frequency. Same frequency means same wavelength, and also maintain a constant phase difference between them. And when they are made to cross each other, when these waves are made to cross each other, then you will see the disturbance at each point of the superposition region. What is superposition region? Superposition region is nothing but it is a crossing region where two waves cross each other. So in this region, the resultant disturbance due to individual waves, but beyond this region of superposition, the waves came through completely uninfluenced by each other. For example, the waves created by dropping two stones simultaneously in a quiet pool. You can drop two stones in a quiet pool simultaneously. Then what will be the observation? We observe interesting and complicated effects on water surface. In the region of crossing, the waves at some places, disturbance is practically zero. Disturbance means displacement is practically zero, and other places disturbance is greater than that due to either wave alone. The simple principle which explains these effects is Huygens principle of superposition. Mathematically, how can you explain the Huygens principle of superposition? You can have the explanation of this when two or more waves interact with each other in certain region, the resultant displacement, that is electric or magnetic field vector in case of light, is the vector sum of displacements due to each wave independently. So you can see here, let us suppose there are two or more waves having displacement y1, y2, y3, etc., caused by different waves at a point. Then the resultant displacement y is given by y is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3, etc. When two superimposing waves are in the same phase, when two superimposing waves are in the same phase, what do you mean by same phase? You already aware about the crest and trough of the wave. You have already studied in your 12th class, and I have also shown this crest and trough through this figure. This is the crest, that is uppermost of the wave, and lowest part of the wave is represented by trough. The separation between the two crests or two trough is the wavelength. Wavelength is the separation between either two crests or either two trough. So when two superimposing waves are in the same phase, that is crest of one wave falls over the crest of another, or trough of one wave falls over the trough of another, then resultant displacement gets added. You can see in this figure, you can see that this is the first wave of, say, displacement y1. This is second wave whose displacement is y2. Both waves are in the same phase. You can see both wave. This wave is initiating from here. This wave is also initiating from here. So when and both waves have same frequency, both waves have the same frequency, then when these two waves are added, then you will see that the resultant wave, this is the resultant wave. You can see that in this resultant wave, the amplitude of this wave is greater than either this wave or this wave, or you can say it is greater than the amplitude of individual waves. It means that the amplitude of the two waves are added, or you can say the displacement of the two waves are added. So this is the case of constructive interference, or you can say in this case the amplitudes or resultant displacement gets added. Now second case, what is second case? When two waves superimpose in opposite phase. What do you mean by opposite phase? Come to this figure. This is the one wave, this is second wave. Both waves are having the same frequency, but you can see this wave is initiating from this point, this wave is initiating from this point, and both points are opposite to each other. So when these two such waves are superimposed, then what will be the result? Result of the resultant wave or this resultant displacement will be zero, or you can say that amplitude of the resultant wave is zero. So this is the case of destructive interference. In this case, the resultant displacement gets subtracted. So when two waves superimpose or meet in opposite phase, that is crest of one wave falls over the trough of another, you can see here, then resultant displacement gets subtracted. You can see here, this is the crest of the wave, this is the trough of the wave. When both waves are added, in that case, what is happening here? The crest of the wave is superimposing to the trough of the wave, and the resultant displacement becomes zero. So this is the case of destructive interference. Now, as I have already discussed about the phenomena of interference, interference refers to the effect produced by the superposition of two or more waves. When two or more waves of same frequency traveling in the same direction superimpose or combine or meet, the resultant wave has the same frequency. The resultant wave will have the same frequency, but its amplitude depends on their phase difference. At the point when two waves are in the same phase means crest of one wave is fall over the crest of another wave, or trough of one wave falls over the trough of another wave, then they are in the same phase. That means that what will be the phase between the waves? That is 0, 2 pi, 4 pi. Then resultant amplitude is maximum. You will find that the resultant amplitude is maximum, that we have already discussed in my previous slide. So that interference is called constructive interference, and in that situation the fringes which will be formed will be bright. So at the point where constructive interference takes place, the bright fringes will be observed. At the other points, when they are in the opposite phase, Opposite phase means crest of one wave falls over the trough of another wave. Means they are in the opposite phase. Opposite phase means pi, 3 pi, 5 pi. Then resultant amplitude is maximum. Resultant amplitude is minimum. And in this condition, we will find the destructive interference, or the point where the fringes will be observed are dark. So that is basically where the amplitude is maximum. You know that square of the amplitude is intensity. Intensity is energy. And at the point where amplitude is zero or minimum, or you can say that intensity is minimum. Therefore, interference can also be defined on the basis of energy, that is the redistribution of energy of waves due to superposition of two or more waves traveling simultaneously in the same direction is called phenomena of interference. As I have already discussed that interference of light has two types. One is constructive interference and destructive interference. When two waves of same frequency generated by coherent sources are superimposed, the resultant amplitude and hence intensity will be maximum at certain point of the medium. In this case, interference produced will be constructive interference. You can see in this figure, this is the first wave, this is the second wave. Both waves are having the same frequency or same wavelength, and they are also in the same phase. They maintain the constant phase difference in space. So when these two such waves superimpose or combine or meet, then resultant will be, this is the resultant wave. You can see here the amplitude of this resultant wave is larger than the amplitude of these two individual waves. It means that its energy is added or intensity is added in resultant wave. But you can also see that the frequency of this resultant wave is the same as the frequency of this second wave or the frequency of the first wave. So frequency will remain same. Frequency means the wavelength of the resultant wave will remain same, but its amplitude will be added. And if amplitude is added, means it is the square of the amplitude is the intensity. Naturally, its intensity will be increased or its energy will be increased. So when two waves superimpose in the same phase, that is phase difference between them is zero or 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, or you can say an integral multiple of 2 pi, then the resultant amplitude and hence intensity is maximum, that is shown in this figure 1. Similarly, at the some points, the resultant amplitude and hence intensity will be minimum. This will be the case of destructive interference. You can see here in this figure, this is the first wave, this is the second wave. Both waves have the same frequency. Both waves have the same frequency or same wavelength. But you can see here, this wave is initiating from this point, this wave is initiating from this point, and the phase difference between these 2 points is pi. So therefore, these two waves are in the opposite phase, and opposite phase means the phase difference between them is pi or odd multiple of pi. Then what will be the resultant amplitude? the resultant amplitude is minimum. You can see this figure. This is the resultant amplitude. If the two waves has exactly the same frequency and they maintain constant phase difference, then resultant amplitude will always be 0. So you can see here the resultant amplitude and hence intensity is minimum, which is shown in figure 2. Now question is that what is coherent waves? We have discussed in interference in my previous slide about the coherent sources. What are the coherent waves? Basically, the coherent waves are those waves which have the same frequency and having a constant phase difference with time are called coherent waves. For sustained or continuous interference, we need coherent sources or coherent waves. So sustained or continuous interference is caused by the superposition of two coherent waves. You can see this figure. In this figure, this is the first wave, this is the second wave. Both waves are having the same frequency and they are also in the same phase, or the phase difference between these two waves is 0. Then you will get the sustained interference. If the waves are not coherent, then you will not get sustained or continuous interference. So for the interference of light, the waves which are interfering to each other, they must be coherent waves, right? So how can we produce these coherent waves? This can be produced by coherent sources. So now coherent sources, these are the two narrow sources of light are said to be coherent if they emit waves having the same wavelength or same frequency near the same amplitude and maintain a constant phase difference between them. It is very important to note here that no interference pattern can be observed without coherent sources. You must know that interference pattern can only be observed with the coherent sources. Without coherent sources, interference pattern cannot be observed. So this is very essential point for the observation of interference of light. Two independent. Now question is that how can we produce coherent sources? Two independent identical source. If suppose we have two identical source, but they are independent to each other, they cannot act as a coherent sources because the phase difference at any point will change with time. As the wave propagate in space, as the two waves propagates in space, then after some time there will be some phase difference between these waves, due to which the you will not get continuous or sustained interference. So for observing sustained or continuous interference, the coherent, there must be coherent source, right? Coherent source are those sources which emits light waves of same frequency having a constant phase difference with time. So how can we obtain the coherent sources? A real source, suppose we have a real source of light, and if we create its virtual image, then the real source and its virtual image will act as a coherent source. We can also get coherent sources from different part of the same source, right? Also, two virtual images of a single source can act as a coherent sources. That will be discussed in Young's double slit experiment. How can we obtain the two coherent sources from a single source? For example, laser is a coherent source. Laser light is a coherent source. Now, how we need coherent sources for sustained or continuous interference? That is very essential part of this interference of light. Why coherent sources are needed for sustained or continuous interference? As I have discussed, sustained interference means a constant and continuous interference of light waves. Following essential conditions must be satisfied for sustained interference. What are these essential conditions? First condition is that already we have discussed, the two sources of light must be coherent sources. The waves which are superimposing to each other should propagate nearly in the same direction with the same speed. Third important point is that the phase difference between the waves should be kept constant. Fourth point is that separation between two coherent sources should be as small as possible. The screen on which the interference pattern is to be formed or is to be observed should be kept at sufficiently large distance from the source. The source must be monochromatic. What do you mean by monochromatic? Monochromatic source means it emits light waves of same frequency or same wavelength. Then such source is called monochromatic source, right? So the source must be monochromatic and background should be dark in order to obtain the pattern with constant fringe width and good intensity. Thank you. देखना क्या हुआ.